most couples don't have a communication problem. They just have an understanding problem.
Until you deal with the root of the problem, it's just going to keep coming back. At the core to every single argument, you're just trying to feel understood. Unspoken expectations are one of the biggest reasons that couples fight. I think that's the biggest argument that we've had over and over again.
Welcome back to the Imperfect Walk Podcast,
where we have honest conversations about faith, marriage, and personal growth.
Today, we're talking about why most couples keep having the same argument and what actually helped us break that cycle.
Have you ever had an argument that just keeps coming back and back and back every single time, and you keep leaving the conversation thinking that you dealt with it, but somehow you just end up right in the same spot?
After being married for 3 years, we've seen a lot of these things, and we kind of seek counsel, and we're starting to get more on deeper understanding of what actually was the root from everything. And throughout these counseling and learning, we realized that most couples, they don't have a communication problem. They just have an understanding problem.
Yeah, and I think that until you deal with the root of the problem, until you deal with what's actually behind that, then it's just going to keep coming back around. It's just going to be a merry-go-round. And I feel like we were on that merry-go-round for so long. And here we are now where I think that we have recognized the merry-go-round a lot. And our arguments have become more of conversations. We've taken steps to kind of move past that.
Just to dive into it, when it comes to certain arguments, it's not about what you think. It's not about the chores. It's not about the tonality. It's not about the timing. It's the feeling behind it. So it's like feeling unappreciated, feeling unseen, feeling disrespected because you had a certain expectation that did not get met. So when you had an expectation that your significant other was going to do this and it's not done on your timing, that may cause an argument. It's not because that thing wasn't done. It's because of the way that make you feel. It made you feel in that situation. So
yeah, for
a lot
sure.
of the time, it's not about the thing that did not get done. It's the feeling behind it.
Yeah, I think that's so true. When you're in the heat of the moment, you're not thinking those things. Like when you're in the heat of the moment, you are just focused on proving your point to the other person. Like you're just focused on maybe winning that argument. You're just focused on getting your point across. And at the core to every single argument, at the core to all these things is the reality that you're just trying to feel understood. Right? In every argument that you have and every disagreement that you have, you're just trying to feel understood. You're just trying to feel heard and appreciated in that. And that's the basis of it. And I think that for us, it took us so long to really figure that out because we both look at everything so differently. We both came from different backgrounds. We both just did things differently. Like we grew up different ways. We have different mindsets, we have different personalities. And so we always thought that like my tone always comes out. Right? For example. And for you, maybe you're being a little passive in this. Maybe I'm being a little too aggressive. But at the core of that, it's like I'm trying to communicate something, you're trying to communicate something, and we're just not understanding what each other is trying to communicate. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest things that we've learned is understanding each other. Seek to understand before being understood.
And I struggle with that so much still. I do. You are so good at that. And you're so good at trying to understand different things, for sure.
Absolutely. And again, it just came with wise counseling, being around the right environment, being around the right people. Because not a lot of men actually do that, because, with ego and everything, I'm right, you're wrong. It's always that when it comes to certain arguments. And that kind of helped me dive into the top 3 roots of arguments. And the first one is, you were mentioning feeling unheard. How many times in a conversation you either thought it or you said it, you're not listening to me. You don't feel like the person is hearing what you're saying.
I didn't feel heard a lot in many of our many of our arguments. Like I felt like, okay, I'm communicating my feelings. Yes, but it's not reaching through. Like you're not understanding. And I'm sure you probably felt the same way.
Exactly, with the constant interrupting, the defending instead of understanding, as I mentioned, right? And most people don't listen to understand, they listen to respond. So your partner is talking, and instead of like hearing them, you're already thinking of what you want to say next. Because, okay, how can I combat what they're saying? How can I top what they're going to say next? Now, how can I make this about me versus listening and understanding what they're saying? A lot of time, that's how arguments are being developed. You're just yelling over one, next and over the next, and nobody's hearing what the other person is saying. And that's why most of the time you don't feel heard, or your partner doesn't feel heard, because more realistically, you're not being heard. You
Yeah.
don't, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, how many times have you had to say to me, like literally just today, you just asked me a question. We're in a different type of season where I can't do the things necessarily that I want to do to fill my cup all the time. And it's tough, right? When you can go and play sports and you can go and do stuff and I can't because my body hurts in ways that I can't go to the gym and push myself the way that I want to, right? It's not the same. And even if I had that time, I wouldn't fill it with that because I just do other things. And so it's like, why put me feeling, I guess, jealous about not being able to do those things
The way you said jealous.
on you? Did I say it a type of way?
You said jealous.
My ab separation just twinged. Yeah, the struggles. It's okay. It's a season. Yeah. So just like bringing the awareness, we've now gotten to the point where you're much better at helping me bring an awareness to certain thought processes that I have and behaviors that maybe I didn't notice, like maybe I didn't realize. Yeah. And I think, especially as women too, we have a lot of unspoken expectations of men. We have a lot of expectations about our husbands that we expect them to just understand and recognize and realize, but realistically, a lot of the time they won't because maybe they weren't taught to see these expectations. And a lot of the time, it just requires communication. You know, I'm not going to know what you need from me unless I ask you, hey, what do you need more of me? And what can I do better? What can I work on in certain aspects and areas? And for you, and yeah, so I just think that women have a lot of expectations on their man and it's just unspoken. So I think it's so important to communicate those expectations. For me, for example, like going throughout the day and just doing what I need to do, maybe I expect you to, wash the dishes and like put them away. Or maybe I expect you to, I don't know, get me flowers or like whatever it is. But if I hadn't communicated those things and said, hey, this is actually what I really like. And I value when you do stuff like this. I value when you wash the dishes at a certain time, or I value when you wash the tub, for example, because I'm pregnant right now. Those are certain things that now I'm actually communicating my expectations, and now it's on you to kind of play them out and actually do them, right? Unspoken expectations are one of the biggest reasons that couples fight, in my opinion. And so that's why I just think that communication is so important. If you haven't actually said it, what you need, what you expect from your partner, what you desire from your partner, and what needs are being unmet, then how can you expect them to fulfill that? How can you expect them to do it just by themselves? They're not mind readers. Men aren't mind readers. Women aren't mind readers. And so we need to be able to be vulnerable and just be like, hey, I need this from you. You know what I mean? Like, I need you to, and that's why postpartum, for example, we were able to do that. And I was able to communicate all my expectations because the first time around I didn't, and you didn't know what I needed, and I didn't know what I needed. Second time, now the third time, I know exactly what I need. And so I think it's just so important to communicate that.
At the same time, as well as men, we should not use that as a crutch to not pull your own weight, because at the end of the day, it takes initiative. If you realize that there's certain things that need to be done that you can do, if you realize that your wife is doing a lot of things, being just flying off the walls, dealing with certain things, you can do things. And
Flying off the walls.
at the same time, it's like, I almost said the word you can help out, but at the same time, it's your home as well. I won't call it helping. I won't want to say helping because now you're saying it's her responsibility, when it's also your responsibility to take care of the home as well. In the Proverbs 31 woman, it says that the wife manages the home. That does not mean that she has to take on 100% of the responsibility, and you cannot also take on responsibility of your own home. I say responsibility so many times, but I feel like some men sometimes, I forgot the word I'm looking for. It's weaponizing competency. What's it called?
Weaponizing competency.
Yeah, weaponizing. I feel like there are some men who intentionally do that. and they use it as a crutch and be like, oh, but you didn't tell me what you want me to do. Well, I mean, you were sitting on your phone scrolling for a couple minutes, like for hours. You were on the video game.
That's
I mean,
just incompetency. Weaponized incompetency is like, for example, if I were to ask you to do something and like clean the bathroom, for example,
Mhm.
and you just do it like 10%. You do it so bad because you don't want to be asked to do it again.
Mhm.
That's weaponized incompetency, where you do something specifically so that you will not be asked to do it again. You know what I mean? Or so that you will not, so that you know that that burden will not fall on you again. Incompetency is like when you just decide to not see what needs to be seen. You decide not to do what needs to do. What you were just talking about is like is a lack of initiative. It's almost like incompetency is a lack of initiative, basically.
Right.
I don't know in the terms that I'm thinking about right now.
It's so many of examples of that out there. I mean, you
Yeah.
read off of a bunch of them from Facebook the other day, and I was like, dang, that's crazy. But
Yeah.
it's just, I guess, I don't know what it is, but I think it's just in certain expectations that is put on women for certain things, and we feel like as men we can just come home to a cooked meal and then go hop on the game whenever we feel like.
And maybe you can come home to a cooked meal.
As long as your home is taken care of.
Yeah.
As long as you know that your wife's taken care of, your kids are taken care of, then you can go and do what you got to do,
For sure.
right? But at the same time, you got to make sure that your home is taken care of, especially as a man. Your home got to be taken care of before you can go and do those extracurricular stuff. And that's the biggest thing that's missing, because a woman just want to be safe in her home. She doesn't want to feel like she has to be doing everything. She has to wear the pants. She got to wear the hat. She got to wear the shoes, the socks, everything, right? You know, and she got to be the doctor. She got to be the chef, everything. And it's like, what are we doing? What are you doing? At the end of the day, and a lot of that stuff, it comes from that. But at the same time, it's like some men, they could try, but some may do it weaponizing company, but some of them are not, and they generally just trying, but they just not up to their capabilities. Maybe they do a good job, but it's not to the wife expectations. And then the wife has that unspoken expectation because the man think he did a great job. He's high and happy about it. And then she's get upset and probably cleans over it again.
And now it's slowly causing resentment.
Exactly. Because he's like, the heck, I just did that. Like, you just asked me to do it. And then over time now he's gonna be like, well, I mean, if you're just gonna do it, might as well not do it then, because you're just gonna want to do it afterwards. And then over time that's gonna build up resentment and all those simple things. And then when he doesn't do it, there's gonna be a problem. Right? And a lot of over time that builds up that tension now, and it can cause even the smallest thing will set that off. It's like a bomb. Boom.
Yeah.
Gone. Right?
And then you wonder where it comes from. But a lot of the time, that's where the communication comes in. I love when you clean it this way. And just using those phrases to encourage the other person to maybe understand and see your expectations is good. And then women are very different than men. Like, we're very more emotional in a lot of senses. And therefore, you men are very logical in a lot of senses.
And I've seen it happen before. It was like, you'll get frustrated and I'm just confused. And the arguments repeat. And I'm just like, huh? What?
And it's crazy because a lot of the time, I just want a hug. I just want to be heard. I just want to be comforted. You know, the same way that you comfort our daughter is the same way that I, as a grown woman, want to be comforted in an emotional state. You know what I mean? But you look at it very logically, just in your nature. And it's like, oh, like, this is a solution. Like, this is a thing. Or like, maybe I'll deal with this later because right now I'm doing this. You may not necessarily see it that way.
And then sometimes I'm like, I don't know that. You know what I mean? It's not something that you click in right away. I'm like, oh, okay, let me just give you a hug. And then, because I remember the one time I was holding our daughter, and I was just like, okay, mama, are you okay? You were like, why don't you talk to me like that? And I'm like, you want me to talk to you like that? Like, over time, I'm like, maybe it is true. Maybe that's why you want me to talk to you. Like, you okay, baby? Okay, there.
Having a daughter now, I realized that the little girl inside me is still there. And so the little girl inside me still has those emotional needs that need to be met and those wants. And it's still there. Like, seeing my daughter, I'm not saying that I think like a toddler, But on the emotional side of things, wanting to be comforted and feel safe and feel heard and feel understood, those needs are still there. And it's interesting looking at that, looking at my daughter like that, because I didn't have a dad to give me that growing up. And so she does, and it's beautiful that she has that. But it's made me realize I'm like, I would like that too. Like, I would appreciate that level of like love and kindness. And I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it, what word to describe
Yeah,
it.
absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah.
you just touched on the one of the biggest things here as well. It's like emotion versus logic disconnect. You know,
Mm.
one person wants empathy and the other person wants to fix the problem. Most of the time, it's the men who wants to fix the problem. The woman wants empathy. It's rarely that's the other way around. Because as men, we just wired to want to fix a problem. But sometimes all it takes is a hug, a listening ear to just listen and hear. Because if we hear, and sometimes it's hard because you hear the same thing over and over and over, and like get to the point where it's like, okay, you need to fix this, right?
Mhm.
And then it gets to a point is when is enough, and then you just never know, right? Because one is about action, one's about nurturing. They don't correlate there,
Mhm.
so it's gonna cause tension. It's gonna
Mhm.
cause restraint,
No, for
and
sure.
it's definitely gonna cause some problems there.
Yeah. I think like one of the biggest arguments that we had over and over again is just basically what we've talked about is that maybe I would come to you about certain things like, hey, I feel like you're not doing this enough. I feel like you're not doing that enough. Like, why don't you do this? But I would come to you in tones that weren't necessarily kind. And therefore, you felt like you were being disrespected, but also you felt like you weren't enough. You felt like you weren't doing enough. You felt like you weren't performing enough, or that you just, I don't know what the word there is, but I think that's the biggest argument that we've had over and over again is like, I'm like, hey, this and this and this, right? In maybe necessarily not a nice tone, not a nice way, not a proper way, because I don't know, I haven't learned in full capacity how to communicate all of my emotions. And then you just hear on my end, like, you're bad at this. You're bad at this. You suck at that. Like, you're not doing enough is probably what you hear from like the conversations we've had. And ultimately, it's just a front to what's actually behind all of that, which is like, number one, I want you to be your best self. And that's like the best way that I know to encourage you. And number two, it's like I have certain needs. Like maybe I feel lonely at night, for example. Like a lot of the time when you go play basketball, but I've told you that, or I feel, I don't know, like not seen enough when I'm doing all this work in the household or with the kids and this and that. And I have all this mental load that you don't even see. And maybe that's not being recognized. So the root of it is, okay, I don't feel seen, or I feel lonely, or whatever it is, versus you are just trying your best in your world to do what you're doing, right? And for me, you just hear the opposite. You don't actually hear what the needs are. You just hear you're not doing enough. You suck at this, like whatever it is.
It's not every woman, but I know there's a lot of women who have a perfect man in their head and what they want, what they expect. And when they don't receive that from the husband, it causes issues,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whereas most of them don't give them room to grow. And what I mean by that is, some men are just continuing to work on themselves, develop themselves in a lot of different areas that he knows that he's failing in, right? And because sometimes a woman may have a certain expectation in their mind, and because they're not living up to that expectation, it might come out as, like disrespect to the man. And it's like, man, I'm trying to work on this, but if all I can get is negative feedback, then it does make things harder, right? And sometimes you just gotta let them grow. You know what I mean? Encourage them. Instead of beating them down, encourage them. Say, hey, I see you trying. Looks like I can see you getting better at this. You know what I mean? Just give them more chance. But at the same time, that should not allow a man to over abuse that in a way where it takes you longer than what it actually was supposed to take, if that makes sense. Like if you're working on a certain thing, don't make it take you 2 years to figure it out,
Yeah.
because then that's just overdoing it a little bit. Whereas like you gotta meet each other in the middle at some point,
Mhm.
right? And that's some of the biggest things that I realized that cause a lot of arguments as well. And some of the things what changed everything is being able to just slow down instead of reacting.
Mhm.
Because I feel like in arguments it's just a reaction versus the actual conversation. It's
For
just
sure.
one person reacting to the next person. So I'm reacting to what you said and you reacting to what I said. It's all just a complete reaction, complete chemical reaction.
And when ultimately we're just trying to be understood, both of
Exactly,
us.
100%.
We're just going about it the wrong way. And for a lot of people, walking away from the argument in a hot spot or taking a step back or being like, hey, I need 5 minutes or going and thinking about it. Because when you're in the thick of the emotion, when you're in the thick of, I feel so angry, I feel so unappreciated, I feel so upset right now in the middle of an argument. And then you're not going to be able to think and you're not going to be able to communicate yourself properly. And
What you
you
said
have
about
to,
walking away from a hot spot, I'm like thinking of some people, I'm like, that would just cause more issues sometimes.
I think communicating, being like, hey, I need 5, 10 minutes,
And then,
right?
and the other person has to understand that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other person may think, well, I want to talk about this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other person's like, no, I just need 5 minutes because I'm heated. I don't want to say. I don't want us to have a civil conversation versus just reacting to each other. But sometimes the other person needs to hear that because they're going to be like, no, I want to talk about this right now. This is bugging me. Like, because it's going to be bugging them.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, like, that has worked for us. And also just asking yourself, what are you actually feeling right now? And that's why I say maybe in that moment, you're not going to be able to do these things. But afterwards, maybe after you've processed your emotions, understanding what are you actually feeling? Are you feeling unheard? Are you feeling unseen? Are you feeling unappreciated? What are you actually feeling in an argument that's making you act out in certain ways, making you say certain things? And when you can actually recognize what it is, maybe it's hurt, maybe it's disconnect, loneliness, unappreciation, whatever it is, and then coming to your partner and being like, hey, I'm sorry that I acted this way. I just feel very sad because of this, or I just feel very angry, whatever the situation is, and understanding that. One thing that I learned too is using I statements. I feel unheard when you did that. I feel unseen when you do this, instead of saying, you aren't listening to me or you this, because then it's putting blame on the other person. And also it's going to make the other person feel more defensive. You know, that's some of the biggest things that I think have changed a lot of the arguments that we've had. And we just try to understand each other a lot more now. And that's huge. It's like understanding each other on a deeper level. And maybe it's not going to be right then and there, but then later on, maybe that day or that night, you come back and you say, hey, like, let's quickly just understand what happened earlier so that we can move past it. Because if you don't actually understand, you're just going to keep coming around and around and around to the exact same issue and the exact same problem and argument. And that's why you find yourself in the same argument loop, because you don't really understand the
Really
deeper
deal with the
issue.
root as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the person, I'm a dismissive avoidant. So sometimes even if you try to like just dead the conversation or we know there was tension earlier, you try to bring it up and I'm like, I'm good. Like I'm not worried about it and anything like that. But to you want to talk about it. So me, I should be able to be like, you know what, you have a certain need. I need to be able to put my pride aside and actually have a conversation with you. Right? Because, as a dismissed avoidant, I don't really deal with just avoid it, push it on the rug, just don't and be like, forget about it. It's okay. Whatever happened, happened. It's in the past now. We keep moving on, right? And one of the biggest things, especially in arguments, and I always call you out on it, is always wanting to win. It's always about
Mm-hmm.
winning that argument. Is like, okay, how can I make this person, or how can I make my significant other be sorry for doing what they did or not doing what they did?
Mm-hmm.
How can I win this? I'm like, okay, if you think about it, what does actually winning an argument look like? What does that actually look like? What is winning an argument? Because I don't think there's a win or loser in any argument. If you think about it, right? It's understanding each other that really counts. And I think that's the real win
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day.
I think that's so true. I think that, you know, You've gotten good at just asking me, like, why are you wanting to win this argument? Why are you wanting to win this conversation? And then I don't really have anything to say because it's like, well, then I think about, why am I trying to win this conversation? Like, where does that come from? And I've been doing some like work, like trauma work recently, and just learning about different ways that we reflect and respond to situations, and realizing that wanting to always be right, wanting to win definitely does come from somewhere. Maybe it comes from not being heard enough as a child, or not being understood, not being appreciated. So I think it just takes reflection. Like, it took reflection for me, at least, to try to come up to the root of things. Like the other day, for example, I was stressed out because the house was so dirty, it felt like, and the bathroom was dirty, everything was dirty. I wanted to just spend 6 hours cleaning the house, and I couldn't, and I was frustrated about that. And then you were just doing your thing in your work day, but then you're like, oh, I'm gonna go and play basketball. And I feel like in the past, I would have reacted differently. But this time I tried to just be like, okay, why am I upset that he's going to play basketball? Like, where is that coming from? Why am I upset that he is, going to do something that he loves to do? And so I tried to just keep my mouth shut as much as possible and just reflect as much as I could and understand those emotions. And ultimately, it just came to the fact that I am jealous because I don't get to do the things that fill my cup as much right now, because I can't as much, like, I can't go to the gym as much as I want to. My body doesn't feel up for it. I have to listen to that. I go here and there, but it's not like I can go at the frequency that I want to go. And it's not like I can work on the goals that I want to work on right now. So I just felt jealous.
Absolutely. One of the biggest things I realize is that you can be very overcritical of yourself. And sometimes it takes me to just force you out the house and be like, go do something. Go take time for yourself. Go do this. Go to the spa. Go to the, what's it called?
Nail salon?
What they call those stores where you have coffees and stuff?
Cafe?
They go to like a cafe, do some reading, do some journaling, do whatever. Go take some time to yourself, because it's just natural for a woman to have so much mental load, so much things on the brain. I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And it's not saying that they don't have to, but sometimes you just gotta take a step back, take a deep breath, and go back to it. Because I gotta admit, there are some times where you're like, oh, that is so dirty. When there's only 4 things there, you just take it, you just break it down, move them one by one. But sometimes when you
Because I
have
have like this idea of that I need to keep everything a certain way.
And the other thing with that as well is that because you have so much going on in your brain, that small mess looks gigantic. And as men, we want to fix that. And we're like trying to be like, oh, we're not understanding them. We're like, yo, it's nothing. What are you complaining about? And that's gonna set her off, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you just being like, what are you complaining about? There's only like 4 little things there. Instead of actually complaining her about it, when she's ranting about some of these things, just be like, slow, hey, listen, slow down. I'm gonna take care of this, this, and this. I'm gonna get this off your plate. You focus on this, this, and this. Just kind of, so that way she knows that you heard like what she's ranting about. She's just trying to voice those things, and she's not trying to complain. She's just trying to voice those things. That's what's running in her brain, what's taking up her mental load. And if you can mediate some of those things, it would be super, super helpful,
Mhm.
right? Something got to chase them out the house sometimes to go and do stuff, because they have so much stuff they want to do. Chase them to go take
I
time
have
for
so much
themselves.
stuff that I want to do, and I don't have enough hours in the day. I seriously don't.
And that's why you got to
Like,
give task. When you get to that certain point, then we definitely have nannies and stuff like that, cooks and everything like that.
yeah,
But
I'm gonna have a nanny. I mean, at that point, like, they're gonna be in school probably. So
true.
I'll probably just have a cleaner and a chef. I think those are like key because I want to spend time with them. I don't mind that. It's just the rest of the stuff that I don't want to do.
And I was actually reading in the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is just going back. And it just talk about, being able to apologize first and actually say that you're wrong. Because there's something about somebody coming to you and taking blame for something. And you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It makes you start thinking, like, okay,
Mhm.
what did I do wrong? You know what I mean? It's like, if you went to be like, hey, I was completely so wrong. I was completely left field with this. You were absolutely right. When you hear somebody tell you, they're like, you get, I don't know if defensive, but you get kind of in a way where you're like, No. It's okay. I understand you.
Mhm.
And what you said would make sense. I just did not like. It takes a lot for somebody to do
Mhm.
that,
Yeah,
right? But
it
when
does.
it's a powerful thing.
I think 2 good books are The 5 Love Languages and Love and Respect. And I think those are 2 really good books for people to read because they give different perspectives. 5 Love Languages, I know we've done that test. So we understand that both of us have different love languages. And so if we're not meeting each other's love language, we're always going to feel like that we're unloved, right? And it doesn't matter how much you try to show love in your love language. So yours is physical touch and quality time are the top 2, right? Mine is quality time, yeah, but I think acts of service has gone up a lot.
And you also like gifts.
I like them all. I have 5 love languages, but I think
I like gifts too.
gifts for sure, but acts of service is higher just because of the season of life that I'm in, and quality time is there. And so it doesn't matter, like, if you're trying to touch me all the time, like, my physical touch is not that high. So I'm
I
not
just
gonna
want to be in a room with you, just chilling.
yeah, same. I'm cool with that. And so
Same.
understanding each other's love languages is super key. And those books will be linked down below as well if you want to check them out and get them. But yeah, and then Love and Respect is just really, really good. It's a very biblical book and it's very good in terms of mindset on how women think and men think, and we think completely differently. And if we're not able to connect those two, then this is just going to keep going around in this merry-go-round that we're talking about. Just the last thing that we wanted to touch on as well is just how this all ties back into faith in a sense. A big thing is pride versus humility and serving your spouse even when it's hard. That for me is a lot because serving your spouse, even when it's hard, when you look at how Jesus served the people around him, when you look at how he washed his disciples' feet, even though he was king, Jesus was king, but he washed his disciples' feet. That is a great example of how your marriage should look in both ways. Both directions should be you washing each other's feet.
I
Not
want to wash my
literally,
feet.
not literally, unless that's what you're into.
I'm on a foot massage with the foot mask and the hand mask and the face mask that we have.
Sure. But in the terms of servitude, in the terms of serving each other, and Jesus was one of the biggest servers out there.
Mm-hmm.
He always said that the last would be first and the first would be last. And so that in a marriage, when you take the example of Jesus and you put it into a marriage, it completely changes everything. And it's a great perspective to try to remember, especially in the hard times when you're not getting together, in the hard times where you just had the new baby or you're having arguments, you're not getting along, you are out of the honeymoon phase, for example, in a relationship, and just serving the other person. And even if you don't know if they're going to serve you back. And that's obviously a lot harder said than done, but it shows your character over their character at the end of the day. And it's big for me too, because a lot of the times when I get pissed, I'm just like, I don't want to do that for him. Like, but then I'm like, no, I need to serve him. I need to, try my best to still do something. If I was like super, super in love with you that day, I should still try to serve you the same way as if I'm pissed at you. Like that's how the mindset should be.
Aren't you pissed at me every day?
I'm not pissed at you, no.
Right.
I'm just like probably hungry or different things like that. And just the pride versus humility and understanding when you need to be humble and you need to just let that pride go of trying to be right. Like you said, we talked about it a little bit, and just be humble in that moment. And yeah, just humble yourself.
Yeah, just let me play basketball and soccer
I do let you play basketball and soccer
sometimes.
a lot of the time.
Sometimes.
A lot of the time.
A lot of the time. What do you call a lot of time?
Almost every single night that you want to do a sport,
How many
you can.
nights?
It's typically like 2 to 3 a week.
One of them.
No, you played on Friday, you played on Saturday, and then you went to go shoot hoops on Monday or whenever.
That's a different week.
Well, I can't remember far enough back.
The week is from Sunday to Saturday.
Okay, whatever.
Exactly.
And how many times have I gone to the gym this week?
That was your choice.
Was it?
Yep.
It was my
It was
choice.
a choice.
It was not a
It's
choice.
definitely a choice.
I had literally no free time to go to the gym.
You find it free time. You don't even have time to take your pills, your vitamins. Let me reframe it. You don't even have time to take your vitamins. Do you take your vitamins? No, I don't have time. 15 seconds, done.
Let me explain to you that mindset. That mindset is like, okay, I want to get all this done. I have to do that next. I have to do that next. I have to make sure this is okay. I have to make sure that is okay. You know, like, it's just like, I just serve my kids.
Do you remember to
first.
breathe? Like, do you remember if you're breathing or not sometimes?
You know what? Sometimes I actually have to remind myself to breathe and just like,
How about blink? Do you remember to blink?
that actually happens subconsciously. I don't have to think about it.
Because you just keep moving. You can't even take a second to just, okay, what's next? Oh,
And you know
pills.
what? And you know what? That's why I get so annoyed when you're just like, la 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 in the kitchen and you're cooking. It takes you 14 hours to get one dish done.
Listen,
Because I don't have that luxury.
because you
You
choose
can
not
just do do. Like, I just
Listen.
imagine you in your brain. It's just like do 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 do.
Because listen, when I'm cooking and I'm in the mode, I'm cleaning or whatever, I'm always got music going, and I'm playing my music, this
Yeah,
and that.
you're having a whole
I'm
vibe.
having a whole vibe session, but because for you, it's like work for you, right?
It is my work.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because as a stay-at-home mom, it's like work for you. You're like,
Mhm.
okay, well, he makes it look fun, you know,
Yeah.
and you start getting angry about that.
Yeah.
And then when I'm playing with the kids and like, wow, the kids are so good with you and this and that, you're like, deep down, you know, you feel like in the core, you're like, geez, you're like, you know, I might as well just be the stay-at-home dad at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time,
You'd be a great stay-at-home dad.
you can,
But I don't want to be working. I don't want to be working on something that's not my own business.
you personally can change
My dynamic.
your dynamic and the
I
things that
can.
you're doing.
Yeah, I can.
You know, you can put fun into the things that you're doing.
I can.
You don't need to make it feel like work.
It's the blueprint in me. It's just like I wanted to get it done like exactly how I want to get it done as quickly as possible. And I'm trying to like just breathe and be like, okay, like I don't actually have a schedule. Like I have zero schedule. Right? Like no one makes my schedule. I make my own schedule. So I also make my own timelines and I
Mhm.
make my own panic and I make my own artificial like need to get everything done as quickly as possible.
And you see, that's why I make some of the hard things enjoyable. Like if I'm gonna deep clean the house, if I have music and everything, I'm like, I'm taking my time, vibing and stuff. I'm gonna get it done. I mean, it might take me the whole day, but I'm gonna get it done.
See, and that just pisses me off.
Exactly.
Like take the whole day is crazy.
Yeah, that's not really
I'm
take
just
the
like,
whole day, but
see, but the thing is, I like to be effective with my time, right? Like if you look back at the signal versus noise thing,
Mhm.
it's like I want to be into that signal. I want to be in that signal as much as possible. And so like taking so long to do something is cutting into other things that I could be doing.
and the signal versus noise ratio got to be at least 80% at the time. So if you know you have a big task ahead of you, do not pile out a big task.
Mhm.
Focus on that main task and make that task enjoyable, is what I'm saying. That doesn't mean that every single week you're in la la land, not getting the things that you need to get done. What I'm saying
Mhm.
is that if you deep clean the house, for instance, don't deep clean the house and have this to do, then have that to do, then have this to
Mhm.
do. Focus on that main thing. Like for me, when I'm making dinner, I don't have something else stacked on and eat when I'm making dinner. Like after dinner, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this. Even if I do, I try to tackle them at the same time, but I make it fun. I try to add fun because I did not like being in the kitchen. You know this. I did not like cooking, did not like doing any of that stuff. But over time, I started loving it more because I started taking pride into it because I was making more fun for myself. I had music, I had either a show or some sort of because some mindset going on in the background.
And what's crazy is I used to love cooking and I would listen to music and I would like sing and whatever before kids. And now I'm just like I don't want to cook. I don't like cooking and I don't even want to listen to music.
If you look at the kids love music. The kids
I
love to
know.
like sometimes when I'm cooking and making food, they come inside, do the little dance and they gone again. And it's just about enjoying the moment while it's there because not a lot of people have what you have at this point in time. There's a lot of people who are struggling, who don't have a home, who don't have certain things. So being able to be thankful for the things that you already have. You're able to be grateful for all the moments that you have.
Mhm.
So then, some people don't even have a house that they can clean. They don't have laundry they can fold. They don't
It's
have.
true. It's true. Like, God has gifted me with all these things, and it should be looked as a gift and not a burden, for
Yeah.
sure. Because I'm taking care of something that God gave me. Like, cleaning my house is me taking care of something that God has given us. And, yeah.
And the same thing as a man, but like if your wife is yelling at you, be like, yeah, thank God you have a wife to yell at you. Because at the same time,
But I never yell at you.
okay, I meant in the way, it's like,
Yeah.
thank God I have a wife who is disagreeing
Yeah.
with me. Some people don't even have a wife who's searching for one.
Mhm.
Some people they just having like, they're divorced because they just
Mhm.
can't do it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're able to be thankful for the things that you have, you're able to take a step back and understand it deeper and just be like, man, I'm so thankful for this. So thankful for you. And then go back to yelling. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and that comes with getting over that pride. A lot of relationship issues aren't communication issues necessarily. They are pride issues. Always wanting to be right and not wanting to admit you're wrong. And I think when you
Nobody wants to
just
admit they're wrong.
no one wants to admit you're wrong. But you show a lot in your character when you come to your spouse, your significant other, your boyfriend, whatever, and you say, "Hey, I'm sorry I did this, and I was wrong for speaking to you in this way." And that shows a lot in your character, and it takes that for things to change. Maybe the other person doesn't change right away, but I think that if you do that long enough, that you're able to change the direction of your relationship for sure. And you're able to just humble yourself. You're able to be honest with your feelings, and you're able to admit you're wrong. And even outside of maybe an argument in your relationship or whatever, admitting you're wrong is so important. And it comes with integrity. And in your workplace, admitting when you're wrong, because it shows a lot about you. So making yourself uncomfortable, biting the bullet, and just admitting you're wrong first, apologizing, will put you far greater on. And I think until you get that, until you understand that, you're going to keep having these arguments and these conversations over and over again. And over time, if these root things aren't addressed in your relationship, it may lead to divorce. It may lead to a breakup. It may lead to certain things because you just were never able to get to the root causes of your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your emotions. And the book How to Win Friends and Influence People did teach that a lot to me. Is like, I have to be like, I'm sorry for speaking to you that way. And I do that sometimes now, where I'm like, I'm sorry for this, or I'm sorry for, speaking to you this way. I'm sorry for how I acted in this time. I shouldn't have done that.
The Caribbean saying is, you want to be wrong and strong. You know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah.
and what that means is just like, I
That's
know
so
I'm wrong.
toxic.
I know I'm wrong, but I don't want to admit that I'm wrong. I'm going to keep this argument. I know I'm wrong, but I'm going to just keep it going. You know what I mean? Because there's no way I'm going to let this person win this conversation. I'm going to let this win this argument at the end of the day, right? And because it does cause a lot of issues, right?
Mm.
Just to kind of wrap things up and conclude, it's like, if you keep having the same argument, it's not by accident. There's something underneath that needs to be addressed. And once you see it, you can't ignore it.
Yeah. If this episode helped you see your relationship differently, make sure that you're subscribed to the Imperfect Walk and follow our social medias for all of our clips that we put out and everything else, because we're having real conversations like this every single week.
If you know any men, women, couples who need this, send it to them.
Have a good one.
See you next time on
Bye.
Imperfect Walk.